This is it. We're rolling episode 562 of No Laugh Track Podcast here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. My name is Juston Severson. And I get to talk to the headliner here at Acme each and every week, including people who do a week and then don't come back to Acme for, 12 years, like my guest today. Another Juston, spelled differently. Juston Mckinney's here.
Yeah, I thought that's why I wasn't back, because you took offense to the way I spelled my name. So you're like, we're not having him back here.
Too much confusion.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think it had been that long. I know the last time, I don't know if it was winter time. I just remember one time I was here, I remember bringing my snow gear. That's for sure. January, I think.
That could have been June.
Well, it's funny because this time I brought my swim trunks, and I was excited to go in the pool.
Yeah.
It's not open. Not only is it not open, it's empty. It's empty. Yeah, what is it? Isn't it like 85? It's 85. The pool was empty, and there's a sign that says no diving. I'm like, no kidding. Yeah.
We did have a comedian that stayed over there one time in the winter, and it filled up with snow, and he did jump in and do an angel in the snow. And
yeah, well, I'll come back in the winter next time if we don't wait another 12 years. No, it was good. And I was here like in 2010, I believe, and then 2012. It's funny because the wall you have in the back, because I was looking and I only saw my name on there once, and it was Juston Mckinney, cursive, right? And I couldn't find it again. And then about 30 minutes later, it stuck out. First time I went cursive, the other time I printed it. So I didn't know. I was looking for the other cursive one. So there is two back there on the wall. So I don't know what I'm going to do this time. I'm going to do half cursive and half print. That's what I'm going to do. So every time it's different. It's never the same way twice. It's hard for people to forge your documents when you never sign your name twice the same way.
How about load your lips up with lipstick and just put those on there? Huh?
Is that doable? Has anybody done that yet?
I don't know. Oh, maybe that's where I got that idea. Then don't do
right.
it.
Yeah,
unless it's a different
I don't want to be a
color.
hack. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, don't be hacked. That's hilarious.
No one's doing what I'm doing. The cursive, the print, the cursive, and the print. Okay, that's my thing.
No, sir. So I often listen back to the last time people were on the podcast to kind of like see what we talked about, maybe follow up on some things. But 12 years, Spotify doesn't even list episodes going back that far.
I have no recollection of what I told you then.
I did find it. I had to go to the direct source,
Wow.
Podbean. I had to go find it at, which
Was it a good listen?
better than I was dreading hearing myself in 2012. It was episode number 19, Juston.
Wow.
19. Today's 562.
Wow.
Things have
Man,
changed.
I can't believe I'm still alive.
I'd like to think I've gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I was very fearful of hearing anything I said, and not as bad as I was expecting.
Good. So. Well, if I had died, that would have been the only proof. You could have said, I interviewed him back in 2012. It would have seemed like you didn't like me. You were just trying to capitalize on my death.
So do you? So that week in October, it was October of 2012.
Okay.
The one of the things you mentioned is that you had filmed a scene in a movie with your buddy Kevin James, and you didn't know if you made the movie yet or if it had been cut.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that
the
was,
movie is...
very fond of Kevin, and he's put me in, I did King of Queens, an episode of that, and a couple of his movies. Great guy. I consider him a buddy. I don't know if he considers me a buddy. I mean, we don't talk regularly. Really close to his brother, Gary Valentine.
Okay, yeah.
So that movie would have been, because that would have been the second one, so was the movie Here Comes the Boom?
Yes.
Okay, it was Here Comes the Boom.
It's just about to come out.
Yes, so
week.
it was with Henry Winkler. And yeah, it made the movie. Did you see the movie? Okay. Well, that's right. You got time this weekend. What do you got planned this weekend? So I'm just a referee. It's very fast. It's with Henry Winkler and Kevin James, and I'm just kind of like, fighter ready, let's go. It actually was in the trailer though. So if you're on Prime or Netflix or wherever it's running, you can see me quickly in the trailer.
There you go.
And,
what part of the movie is it in? Middle, beginning, end?
I would say the first third, maybe.
I only saw
around
the
first
two-thirds.
third. It's when he first. Well, did I tell the story on that podcast about when I was in The Zookeeper?
No.
And my my kid at the time, this would have been, my kid was probably like 5 years old at the time, and my wife is like, yeah, Daddy's in this movie. So they watch the scene, and it's just I'm a manager in a hotel, and he's peeing in a plant, and I just go over and go, excuse me, we have a restroom, fully functioning restroom, right over there. So it's just just a few lines. And my kid ends up watching. I go up and shower, and I come down, and the credits are rolling, and my kid's just crying. He's like crying, and my wife and I just look and go, why are you crying? He's like, I wanted Daddy to be in more. And I'm like, and at that moment, at that point, like my kid realized that I was kind of a loser, I mean, I wanted to be more too. Like he how did he feel that? Like, and I almost wanted to tell him that his real dad was Kevin James. But I didn't. But that was my movie career, and they haven't had me back since 2012. Now you mention that, it's the last time I did anything. That was when I peaked.
Hey,
you guys got me. This is the comeback, though. I'm making the comeback here.
Damn right.
Yeah, it's my comeback week.
There we go. Oh, that's. So that son is a teenager now.
Yeah, he is. They're 16 and 14.
16 and 14.
Yeah.
Do they? What do they think of you? Like, have they come to a show as teenagers?
They've seen, not as teenagers. It's funny. My one boy was supposed to go last year, 16, because I think 16 is a good age for my stuff. I mean, I'm clean, but I have a few things I don't want him to see. I really make fun of his mother, and unfortunately, so I was.
You just changed her name.
Thinking this was the time. Yeah, it's tough. There's always a couple zingers in there, and I'm like, they're just jokes, buddy. But I talk about this in my act. The disclaimer I give is she's in HR, human resources, which is like the worst job for a comedian to be married to. So every joke, when I bounce stuff off her, she shoots it all down. So I'm like, more jokes about you. That's why I say that. So it's like, she doesn't mind the jokes about her and the kids. She's more worried about me doing something that's going to get me in trouble.
Sure.
So as long as I do that, but.
Yeah.
But they've seen a lot of my clips because they're, they follow me, the reels and the social media stuff.
I was curious about that. So
Yeah.
I have like I have 3 children. I have 2 teenage daughters, and I have one 5-year-old daughter. I got divorced and remarried, so I have a 5-year-old as well.
Okay, so it was funny. So you're one of those, you ever meet those people that have 3 kids, but you can kind of wish they had 2? So you can tell they wish they had 2 kids. Always like, what are their ages? 16, 15, and 5 years old. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Just how I planned it my whole life.
Yeah. No, but good. That's great. Good for you.
I didn't want any
You're
other
doing
way.
it.
But I have I have teenage friends of my daughters that follow the podcast on social media. I'm like, this is so strange.
It's strange, and then you think about what you say and what you shouldn't say, and I'm aware of it because that's the worst thing is what my kids really think. I don't care what other people think,
right?
But your kids and your family, you kind of do care, and so I am kind of aware of it. But
Yeah. So we talked when you. I'm sure as everyone remembers. Back in 2012, we talked, and you don't really mention it on stage. I don't think you mentioned being a cop at one point at all on stage last night. Did you?
I did not.
Back in 2012, that we talked about that for a good 20 minutes, I bet, on the podcast. And I've heard you do other interviews. I listened to you on WTF with Marin.
Yep.
Give your whole background, and that's a big part of your background. But you're not even mentioning being a one-time officer on stage anymore.
It's only because I don't always mention it.
Okay.
Because I'm always, whether I'm getting ready to try to put out a new special and doing new stuff. So it's like, I'm doing an hour here.
Yeah.
So what do I want to use the hour for? But my, newer stuff, and I a lot of times will leave it out. But it's funny you mention it because I was just approached just a few months ago about doing this tour, Heroes Off Duty tour.
Okay.
Which is military, fire, police, former nurses who are comedians. So I just had to go down 2 weeks ago to Florida and I did 15, 20 minutes of that stuff. I kind of dusted some of it off.
Oh, wow.
And just did that. So, I don't know how many of those dates I'll do next year. They would want me to do as many as I would want to do, but I'm already booking up other stuff. But it might be a little fill-in. But it's going to go to charities and stuff of fallen officers in line of duty, firefighters, military.
Brilliant.
So it's just first responders getting together and kind of laughing, dealing with the stress and the trauma and having a night off kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
So it's ironic you bring that up because I had to dust some stuff off. But
okay.
So last week, that's why I haven't done my regular stand-up. Last night was the first time in about 8 days because I went to Florida to go do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was last night getting back into the real?
It's first of all, I mean, it's no secret. I'm sure everybody says this, but this is one of my favorite clubs. I mean, the Denver Comedy Works and this one. are always in the top 3 whenever I talk about clubs.
Nice.
And it's just so fun. I mean, last night was sold out. It was a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It was full in here. Wednesday night. I'm thinking Wednesday night, I come in, there's 40, 50 people. I dust off the cobwebs. I kind of figure out what I want to do for the week.
Yeah.
And it was full. And it was good. And I actually, I got a review at 10:30 at night. Show got over. I got back to my hotel room. If you want me to read you this review.
It was a social media review?
Social media review.
Okay.
And, look, once in a while to hear good things about you. We're all human. We like that, right?
Yeah.
So,
You get back to the hotel after doing a show last night and get on your phone to your accounts, see that somebody's commented. Now, do you normally go look at comments on your videos
I do not.
and stuff?
It actually, it actually, what happens is it pops up, before you open it and click on it, it's on my home screen, right? Does it do that? Like it shows you just the first few lines.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, if they're bad, I'm not clicking on it. But this review started off, so this is what I get at 10:36. And I'm not going to tell you the person's name, but it says, just got home from the show tonight, and I have to tell you, you are one hell of a comedian. I have been to a lot of shows at Acme Comedy Club over the years, and I have never seen or heard anyone as funny as you. No disrespect to everyone that's been through here. The next line, I have a traumatic brain injury. I mean,
are you serious?
I am completely. Look at it. You can look at my phone right here. It's like, so. I mean, there was never a thing. And he goes, I can't remember ever laughing as hard as I did tonight. And and obviously I'm not laughing at the situation. No. I felt horrible.
No.
And then he said, I can't wait to see you again. And I wrote back and I said, look, not to, I'm sorry about your situation. I wish you well, but you got to understand as a comedian, the humor, like I'm reading this glowing review, about as good of a compliment as you could tell me for someone who's been coming here for years. Yeah. And then you follow it up with, I have a traumatic brain injury. Like, you know what I mean? So it just struck me as, so anyway, so that's it's not like I could use that, like quote on the back of like my next special and then give the quote and then say from a man with a traumatic brain injury, But anyway, it was nice, and I won't give you his name, but yeah.
He didn't mention problems with memory loss?
Well, that's just it. I mean, he doesn't remember, right, saying he doesn't remember. And then he's like, he wants to see me again. I'm like, can I do the same stuff?
Right?
And then if I do the same stuff, he might say, last time was better. And I'm like, I did the exact same show. So anyway, his first name is Mike.
Oh, Mike.
But
thank you for that.
Yeah. But anyway, so it was good. So I got,
I loved it. I saw the set. I absolutely loved it. I thought I was telling you before we got started here tonight that some of your jokes, I'd like to, I will take notes throughout someone's set, and I put little stars next to the ones where I'm just like, oh my God, that was the funniest freaking thing. Well, first of all, you start off and you do a little, there's maybe little current events you throw in there. I don't know if you always do that, but that keeps people on their toes.
I do. I try to, and I think I even referenced it last night because I think they were surprised. I think I even referenced it, but I do. I try to, know what's going on in the world. So I did a few things that just happened in the news in the last week. And I love that. That's, for a comedian, I think to throw out something, and I hadn't said that ever on stage before. So to be able to say some of that stuff and have it work is like, that's like what we do it for. I mean, that's such a good feeling.
You have one, it's telling people about how they should talk to dogs like babies like dogs.
Yes.
Babies like dogs. Talk to babies like how they talk to dogs.
Yes.
That bit is so funny, Justin.
Thank
my
you.
God.
Thank you.
Can you please just give like the...
Yeah, so basically the premise...
Part.
Sure.
It's so funny.
So the premise of the bit is how much I love dogs and how much I love puppies. Like there's nothing cuter in the world to me than a puppy. And I can watch humans see puppies all day. Like you sit at the coffee shop and you see a puppy. Oh my God! Like people just melt. Like, oh my God, what is she? You know what I mean? So cute. You know what I mean? And I go and I say I think it's even they're cuter than babies. And then I say I think it would be cool if people talked to babies the way they talk to puppies. I say, oh my gosh, what is she? A little Caucasian, a little Latino, and they don't know what else. Like, oh my God, do they think she'll be big? Oh yeah, the mom is huge. It's like, is the dad big? We have no idea who the dad is. So that's the joke, and I'll probably do that this week because that's not on tape anywhere.
It's such a good joke. Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
It's just so perfect how it rolls over into that, like, oh, and it. Well done, sir. Well
Thank
done.
you, Justin with an I.
Yeah, keep it straight.
Let's not wait 12 years next time.
Exactly. So, I heard also, I saw, I think on your social media, and maybe you mentioned it last night, that you're not on the road as much as you have been in the past. You've been staying home more for your family, correct?
I have. I mean, it's a tough situation with my whole career. It's a battle of mine. But you know, my childhood was a little dysfunctional. I don't know if we got into my story last time,
Oh,
but
it was mentioned a little bit.
you know, my mom passed away when I was 6, and my dad was an alcoholic, and it was I'm really big on making sure that my kids don't have a life where they want to become a comedian. You know what I mean? And and part of that is being present, being there.
Yeah.
And it's just I know it's because of the way I grew up. That's why, we talk about 2012 when I was here last. I'm only doing 1 or 2 clubs a year. Just because I want stuff I can drive to, and I do all these venues near where I live, just to be there for my kids. And but at 14 and 16, they're a year or 2 away to where I think I can start going out more. So that was why I'm back here now, and I'm starting to lay some groundwork for going out more and touring more. Because people are asking, my fans on social media, like, when you come here, you only stay in the Northeast. When are you coming here? So I've got people coming this weekend from Minnesota. This person didn't have a traumatic brain injury, but said they can't wait to see me on Saturday. Just very excited, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I looked at your dates, and they really just circle where you live in New Hampshire.
And there's some stuff not on there. Obviously, anything I do corporates, aren't on there on my schedule.
Sure.
So I think I was just in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Florida. I got to go to for a corporate, which, by the way, I still get the hell gigs. I get spoiled because back in New England, there's a whole bunch of theaters I do, 800-seat theaters or even more in some cases.
Nice.
And it's, there's no check spot, which is nice, although this is probably the best check spot ever. I didn't even know they were dropping last night. In fact, I had to even look, and then I had to bring it up to give a round. Normally you say, give a round of applause for the wait staff, when it gets a little chaotic to call, and it didn't even. I want to make sure I give them the plug. But anyway, I get a call to do a corporate in Pennsylvania, rural Pennsylvania, and it was the middle of the day at noontime, family picnic.
Oh, fun.
At a baseball stadium, but it's technically just a deck in the back of the baseball stadium, so I can't really say I'm doing stadiums now, but I'm like, can't believe I'm doing stadiums now. So there's 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, middle of the day, it's 90 degrees, crying baby on this side. The stage it's way left, way right. It's only 20 feet deep, and everyone is way to my left and way to my right. And this was, and actually, I thought I had a good line up front. I just said, I'm going to be doing a lot of left looking, a lot of right looking, you know what I mean? But the last guy speaking on a stage in Pennsylvania that looked right, it saved his life because it was right. It was close to, it was in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania. So anyway, it wasn't like I was like, I'm not coming up with anything. It was just, they're just, kids and the crying baby. And, but still, it was a one night in, one night out. I'd do it again next week because it was as hard as it was. And I'm like, but there was a guy right in the front filming me, has his camera up, like just filming me. So I'm aware of, all right, this isn't a good setup. I don't want this video getting out there anywhere, right? This is not good. 5-10 minutes in, you want to make the corporate happy because that's the whole thing. The bosses are sitting right off to my right. So finally, I just figure I go, hey, you know what? If anyone wants to take still photos, that's fine, but please no video. And I look right at him, give him a little nod, point. Doesn't even budge. Keeps filming. And in a club or if you're somewhere else, I would go at him, but to do these corporates, I just, I've done it, one corporate in my whole career. As many as corporates I've done, there's only one where I believe they weren't happy, and it was when I went after someone who was being a douche. So I never did that again. I pulled the audience in, but I never did it again. So when I go to these corporates, it's like, all right, where do you draw that line? And it's, like I said, that's half of my work is private stuff. So, I want to keep that going. But I just had to sit there and just take it for 40 minutes. So to come here... So that was there, then it was in Florida doing the Heroes Tour, and then so this was the first night where I'm doing my regular stand-up, sold out.
At a comedy club.
At a comedy club, and it was just awesome, so yeah.
You probably wanted a crying baby in that seat instead of the person.
It
with the
felt
camera,
weird
right?
not to have a crying baby. Felt really weird.
How did
Threw me off, actually.
Where has comedy taken you, like, living? Where have you been living? When you started doing comedy, where did you live?
So I was back in. I was living in the state of Maine.
Okay.
That's where I was a deputy back there, deputy sheriff, and then I went down to Boston. Was where I started my open mics and got on, and then I took a leave of absence. This is in like the mid '90s now, and then I moved down to New York City in '97.
Okay.
And then '97, I got an agent. I got in all the clubs in New York City. I got a couple development deals, and you might know this story because you said I talked about this on Marin. I go more in depth about it, but I got these big six-figure development deals, $370,000 and $270,000 back-to-back.
Listen to that.
Back-to-back years, and I gave it to the waiter at Dangerfield's Comedy Club was a part-time stockbroker. So in 98, 99, I slowly gave him all of my money. And in 2000, the dot-com crash, I lost it all. I was left with $10,000, basically. And that's in a retirement fund to this day. I put it into an IRA, but lost it all. So in 2001, when I moved to Los Angeles, I was so depressed. So that when I got the Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 2002, I wanted to die in my sleep. Like, I'm not saying I was going to kill myself. I mean, my accountant was like, "Wow, there's people jumping out of buildings that didn't lose as much as you lost."
Jeez, thanks,
man.
And
yeah, exactly. I know. Thank you. What are you egging me on? Thanks for egging me on. But when you think of here I am, I left this career. I set out to do what I wanted to do. I had success. I could have just been, if I had bought property or something I could have been able to then do. But instead, now here I am walking around LA. It's sunny every day. I get the Tonight Show, which is really the only thing I ever wanted to do, and I didn't even enjoy it. It was like one of the lowest moments. So I had to. So those early 2000 years, I was battling, my depression and trying to just function. And when I started to get back on my feet, 2004, I did Leno again. My second appearance, I loved way more than my first. And then I started to get a little momentum. And then by then, my wife, I've been with her for 29 years, wanted to start a family. We didn't have kids at this point, didn't want to raise a family out there. I get that. A lot of people don't. So we ended up moving back in 2006 because real estate was so expensive, and $500,000 for a 2-bedroom. This was way back then, which was insane money. So we ended up in New Hampshire, which is where I was born, and I actually grew up in New Hampshire on the New Hampshire and Maine line. So that's where we ended up. And then, so what I had to deal with moving back, what I had to deal with moving back was I was getting a lot of things. So from 2006 to right up before you saw me, I mean, I got my Comedy Central hour, and the Blue Collar Comedy Tour Next Gen. I was on that.
I remember that.
I had gotten on the movies, the Kevin James movie. I had a couple other deals, but being out there, it's like you're kind of out of the game. So it was. I feel like my wife's even like, "Oh, why don't you go for 3 months and go for pilot season?" And I just didn't want to leave my kids for that time. Yeah. So I kind of pulled myself out and just maintained it and built up my kind of my career back there. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So I've been back there since 2006. Wow. I've been back in New Hampshire. So
I saw one of these push notifications that I sign up for. That half of them I'm like, "Oh, that's good info." Half of them I'm like, now I'm upset I know this. How about this one I saw the other day? Just what you said triggered this memory. From CBS News. Only 1/3 of U.S. millionaires consider themselves wealthy. What are you then? I want to try.
No kidding.
Give me $1 million and ask me how I feel.
So what is that 1/3? I thought you were. By the way, I thought you were going to say that popped up about me.
No. Nah.
I was going to ask you this.
Only 1/3 of U.S. comedian millionaires consider themselves wealthy.
Well, it's funny you say that because, there was a story. Here I am living in this town, and dealing with I go into the bank one day, and. So the bank tellers just ask me. They go, "Hey, do you know Steve Trevino? Do you know him, Steve Trevino?" I'd heard of him. I might have met him once, but I didn't really know him. I'm like, "Yeah, I know who he is." And the bank teller's like, "I went to high school with him. I looked up on Celebrity Net Worth, and he's worth like $15 million on Celebrity Net Worth, right?" And I was literally like, "Well, not for nothing, but they really over-exaggerate that. I mean, you look at mine, you'll be shocked because mine had said 8 million at one point. I knew it said 8 million, right? They're like, oh, really? Let's see. So they pop up mine, right? And I go, yeah, they blow it up like 15, 20 times. And they go like this, and they look up, they go, $700,000, and I go, oh, they changed it, right? Which I'm glad they changed it, right? Because my family thinking I'm worth $8 million. I'm like, they're thinking, we're all giving $25 Christmas gifts.
Right.
Justin's sitting on $8 million. He can't give $50.
This cheap ass isn't
yeah,
hosting?
exactly, right? So anyway, I'm like, well, I'm glad they changed it, right? And there's like 4 of them all standing around. They go, so what did you come in here for? And I go, oh, I got charged $25 on my account. They're like, oh yeah, that's because it dropped under $1,000. Your account dropped under 1,000, and then I go. So they go, well, we'll waive the fee. I go, okay, I'm $700,025. Okay, and then I walked out of there. But you made me think of that off your wealth story.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, according to that, Dana Gould, I think, is worth $500,000. That's what it said last week. I never purposely see that stuff, but when I'm doing my research, it just will pop up.
I don't know where they
randomly.
get that, but it used to be insane. I almost think it was like mine was like 50, and then another time it was 8, and then like I said, they had adjusted it. So good, but good. I got an above ground pool, so
Hey.
I think maybe they saw that in Google. What's it called? Google Earth. Saw my above ground pool.
I was so during the day I have a job painting, like interior, exterior. We were at a job site the other day, and the Google freaking Street View car came by, and I said to my guy I'm working with, I go, hey, did you see that? He goes, oh yeah, I went like that when it drove by. But you flipped off the Google
They'll
Street
take
View?
pictures of that. My buddy does that down in Florida. That's his job. He drives around.
Drives it?
Yeah, and some people think he's a cop. I'm like, doesn't it say Google all over it? It's got like the cameras all over it.
All over the top of it. Yeah.
But it would be a good cop car because everyone would think it's the Google car.
I suppose.
Except
you still have that feeling if I'm being watched. So,
yeah, you are being watched.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's so funny is my wife is so paranoid about our yard. Like she'll literally like not have stuff leaving in the yard in case they take photos of stuff in the. She's like, can you move that? What if they take a photo of the yard? This crap all in the yard. So I gotta that's why we keep our yard up. She's worried. Yeah, she's so worried about etiquette and everything else. She's a lot of work.
Remember when people used clotheslines to dry their clothes in the backyard? Imagine if that showed up. You got your bloomers hanging.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm sure you can see it in a lot of people. I would do that, but I have allergies. You know what I mean? Super bad allergies, like that. Hanging stuff out. Like it's that fresh. I'm not saying I would do it, but I mean I'm not against it.
Sure.
But all the pollen, I got to keep the windows shut. Year round.
Oh,
all that
sounds
crap.
like torture.
Yeah.
Sounds like torture.
Could be worse.
I think it's interesting that you started. I know that you started as a deputy sheriff at the age of 19, correct?
Yeah.
We just had at Acme here last week the funniest person in the Twin Cities. The winner was crowned last week, and he too was 19 years old. And just thinking he won and got $1,000 check. And
Were they a cop?
Yeah, no, definitely not a cop.
Because that would have been
definitely not a cop.
What's ironic about nowadays, it's like when I got hired, I had to beat out 100 people for one job back then. Now, a department will have 6 openings. They'll get 3 applicants.
3, yeah, I bet.
2 don't show up, and the one that doesn't want to work nights and weekends.
That's every job, isn't it, Brandon?
And has an anxiety dog for them. So you the K-9 unit? Well, it's for me.
What was can I ask, what was the pay for a deputy sheriff back then?
Well, I mean, I don't know what it comes out to adjusted for inflation, but at the time, I could remember it being $8.31 when I started. I think when I got out of there after 7 years, it was up to like $9.50 or something like that. Yeah.
Think about that.
No, and I used to do early on. A lot of my material was just all about that. I mean, that's what you pay, and the department was poor. So this Heroes tour I'm doing, I'm going up as the defunded deputy because I was defunded before it was ever a thing, before anyone even talked about it.
Before it was trendy. Sure.
Yeah, before anyone, the police car had 250,000 miles on it and a headlight out. You know what I mean? For like, and I'm like, you imagine getting pulled over by a padiddle, So I'm doing a whole bunch of stuff about that. So that's if I go out on this tour, that's a lot of what I'll do. Is that material.
Do you ever miss doing that to get some good material, being out on the road as a cop or anything? I mean,
I don't know if I miss it so much for the material. I did like the job. I mean, it was a little bit of a different world up there. I mean, for sure. I mean, I don't say I'd want to do it in certain places, right? I mean, it wasn't as dangerous up where I was.
Sure.
I mean, other than the fact that you had no backup. But I had scary instances. I got a call of I'll never forget this. It was like 95 degrees, and they give you a bulletproof vest, which, I mean, that right there says, a lot when you have a job where they give you a bulletproof vest. But it was so hot, I didn't want to wear the vest, so I put it right on my seat that day. I'm like, you know what? If there's an incident, I'll put it on over my uniform. I sign on. First call I get is, like County 18. I'm like, go ahead. They're like, respond to the, such and such residence. Subject has barricaded himself in the house and says he's going to shoot the first cop that shows up.
Oh.
And that's me. Like, I'm the only cop. You know what I mean? So, in my head, I wanted to go, all right, check with Hicks, Deputy Hicks, see if he can head over there. I'll meet him over there. But yeah, so it was shady and scary, but I liked working with the people, and it was in the schools for a little while, in the schools.
This call would be a lot better to come in. I looked up crime in York County.
It's gotten bad.
Well, how about this one? York County Sheriff's Office is looking for people that says vandalized the baseball fields. A sergeant with the sheriff's office came across the scene at the baseball fields at Shapley. He found a porta potty destroyed across the field, Justin. Officials say tire marks indicated there were 2 ATVs involved. So that's some serious crime there.
I think I know who that is.
Yeah?
I think it's the same people who were burning ice shacks when I was up there. I had an ice shack case that was, I had to commandeer a snowmobile.
Oh,
But
fun.
I didn't know how to drive the snowmobile. So I literally said, I need the snowmobile. He gets up, I go, I don't know how to drive. So I'm literally like riding bitch, hanging on to him. I swear that's a true story. He's going like 80 across the ice. I was like, to try to chase these people burning ice shacks. You can appreciate that in Minnesota.
Yeah, oh yes.
Yeah.
And that is a terrible crime.
Yeah. And I was the only cop that wore mittens because it was so cold. And he's literally like, he looks down and he goes, you wearing mittens? And I'm like, yeah.
How are you going to pull a trigger with mittens on?
Well, you can't. That's just it. Especially
you put
with
your thumb or shooting like this?
No, if there's a shootout, I'm like, you got me. I can't get the mittens off. Especially with a clip to my coat. You know what I mean? I'd clip it to the coat because you don't want to lose a mitten.
Pulling them off with your teeth.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yeah. So I don't miss that.
You don't miss that. No.
But all kidding aside, though, you bring up that there is that kind of stuff that still happens. But I'm not even lying. Like there's violent stuff. I mean, it's gotten bad. I mean, it's the fentanyl, the drug stuff now, and it's the world has gotten to be a pretty crazy place. Like there's I mean, I never knew a cop that ever had to fire his gun.
Yeah.
I had to shoot a deer once, that was injured, got hit by it. But other than that, and now it's, there's been a few instances up there now where they had, suicide by cop. So a lot of people want the cops, there's people that want the cops to shoot them. Like they show up at these calls and they, come at you with a knife or a gun or whatever. And it's like, then you got to live with that. I don't miss that because I would never want to shoot anybody, So, you know what I mean? So I would never want to, deal with anything like that.
Did you see this thing that John Bon Jovi was on a bridge the other day? Did you see this?
Yeah, didn't he say
he was on a bridge? He was on a bridge in Nashville. They were filming a music video. Which why is he still doing music? But anyway, and a woman, he and his assistant or whatever, like on the bridge, about to shoot this music video, and they see a woman that has climbed over the ledge, and she's like looking like she's gonna jump, and they walk over and basically talk her out of it.
Well, it's a good thing it wasn't David Lee Roth for the jump for the for that video. I mean, if they were doing a no.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, that's crazy. Good for him.
He's a hero.
Yeah.
He's a hero.
And then a governor up in New Hampshire just actually saved someone the other day at a lobster roll eating contest, was choking. I guess he was the master of ceremony, so he had to give him the Heimlich maneuver.
That's not real.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, Governor Sununu. Yeah, he saved him.
That sounds like a New Hampshire Mad Lib.
Yeah, but what a thing to do, though, the lobster. Nah, I don't do hot dog. I'll do lobster. You know what I mean? How snobby are you? I'm going to do the lobster eating. It's probably someone who just doesn't have a job. And they're like, I get free lobster. I'll do this. I'll do this contest. Yeah.
I know. My wife would sign up for that, but she would just stop after a couple just to get
it. Yeah. I just eat the one and be like, I'm out of here. That's it? I go, that's it. I just needed lunch.
Thank you. See you next year.
Yeah.
See you next year. Is there anything? Oh, did we? You did like a TED Talk type thing. Let's talk about that before we're done here.
Yeah, I did a TED Talk, TEDx,
TEDx, yes.
in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, back in May, and it was out of my comfort zone, for sure. It was a little more emotional, talking about my past and my dad, and my dad's sober after 18 years, but him, he was a homeless alcoholic for many years. So I was really regretting it up until a couple weeks before it, and I just wrapped my head around it and said I'm just going to do the best I can because it was hard to go to some of those places. And
what was the motivation to be doing this?
I was approached.
Okay.
I was approached about doing one. Just people that knew someone that knew my story. Actually,
Okay.
they had heard the Mark Maron interview.
Look at that.
And they said, yeah, I bet you've got a good TED Talk in there, and and the
Interesting.
idea of thinking that I could do something that could live and help people, like that meant something to me. So I'm like, you know what, let me do it and get through it. And I was happy with it because I was, got everything out.
How emotional was it?
It was very emotional. I mean, there's a part where I talk. I was 6 years old with my mom at the elementary school when she collapsed and died, and from a brain aneurysm. And that part of it in the beginning, when I was just trying to rehearse it to them, or the first time I even started to tell my story, I just had to sit down and I couldn't even, it stopped me.
Oh.
Okay. So I had to get to a point where I was saying it so many times, thinking it so many times where I could just gloss over that part. Cause that's early in the talk. And
Sure.
like, if you got to cave composure there, or then, you know what I mean? The whole talk. So it was emotional, but I think it's going to be out. It'll be out this year. Yeah, I hope it helps somebody.
Wow.
Do
you think you'll do it again?
I don't know that I would, although the second part of this, like I said, this isn't, I was diagnosed with PTSD because of my mom and my dad, and what my childhood was, but also then losing that money from the waiter. So like you put all that together, but that's the second part. That's not in the TED Talk at all.
Okay.
Any of that stuff about then my career. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, when I go see, a therapist for the first time, it's like, yeah, no wonder you get kind of depressed. I mean, you know what I mean? This stuff. So
Does the therapist like that you're going to, does the therapist know you went and talked about that on a stage?
I actually haven't seen a therapist. This was in like 2010, 2012. I mean, so crazy.
Because I'm just curious.
The
Whether
reason
they
I
think
even
that's
went
a good
into
idea.
therapy, the reason I went into therapy was because I was getting ready to do the Tonight Show with Conan. Okay, and here I am. I'm getting ready. So I'm in the. All right. First of all, they wanted me in the end of December. This was December of 2009. December of 2009, and they called me, can you do it? And I'm like, well, I kind of can't because it was like a last-minute thing. They wanted to put me in early. They go, all right, you're going to be January 1st, first week of January 2010. And I'm like, okay. I don't do any research. I don't know that that's bowl week that week. So the whole audience is full of college kids with all the gear on, the college gear.
Sure.
I have no idea. I don't look. I don't ask. I don't look at the audience before I go on. I'm in the green room with the booker. He brings up, my career and the this. And then, so I go down the path that I did with you, which I can handle now, but at the time, the money I lost and now I'm back there. Because the fact that I had to move back there was because I lost the money. Like my whole career got derailed, right? So he gets me in this play, like we're talking like not in a good mental place to go out there and do stand-up. I hit the stage without looking at the crowd. My opening line was something like, I'm at that age where all my friends are starting to have kids. I never in a million years would open with that in front of kids,
right.
College kids, right? I would have called an audible. But in my head, I'm like, well, I can't. They approved it. I got to do the set as it's done. And it just, something just hit me where I'm like, I'm wearing this Lucky shirt. It's like freaking bad luck. It's like, what is this? I keep getting these crappy breaks.
Wow.
And so anyway, long story short, that set, I friggin' hated that set because so I go to right after that I went to, that's the first time, so I went for like a year.
Okay.
I went to therapy and it super helped me, got me like back on track and made me deal with it. But the reason I wear this Lucky thing, this Lucky shirt, Lucky brand all the way, because I had the trademark Lucky Anywhere, and I sold it to Lucky Brand dungarees for $4,000. Back in like 2000. And people said, you got $4,000 for that? You should have got hundreds of thousands of dollars. Who handled your case? My buddy was a defense attorney, so I had him handle it. He wasn't a patent attorney. And I'm like, he kept people out of jail for DWI. I had him handle my patent case. So I just let it go for $4,000. So it's just a reminder. And my kids know about this too, which is funny because they're always like, they're always making fun of me. They're like, hey, Dad, they just throw it. And I laugh. My kids throw it in my face and I laugh.
That's good.
Like if they're going to give up on something,
good.
I go, you're going to give up? It's like, look at you. You look like you gave up on life, Dad. I mean, they just hit me, right? And then my wife will be like, that's not a nice way to talk. And I'm like, it makes me laugh. It's like, so it's misery. I don't know what it is. Misery and comedy. It's a fine line there. But yeah.
Wow.
But that's, anyway, I don't know why I just went into that. What made me think of that?
Wow. But hey, that your kids giving you crap about that means they care.
They do care.
And they've been paying attention.
They do care.
So
yeah.
there's something-
And they're great.
something to be said
And
about
look,
that.
I just hope they realize the sacrifice I've made for them. And as I say, I just hope that, I'm not one of these parents that when they get older, they want to kill their parents. You know what I mean? I don't want to be one of those. As long as they, I'm going to be really pissed if they're like, if they're stabbing me. Yeah.
Kids, I am disappointed.
Yeah. After all I've done.
Finally, give me a quick. We're one game into the NFL season. How are your Patriots going to be this year?
Well, it's funny you say that because, I think last night I even mentioned the last time I was here, the Patriots are better than the Vikings. You know what I mean? And that was for about 2 decades they were. But we didn't think they'd win against the Bengals last week. Now that they did, they've got Drake May waiting. I've got a Drake May jersey.
Oh, look at you!
I'm all ready to go. But I had bought a Mac Jones autographed helmet rookie season, and it just like that. I jinxed it.
Yeah,
so I didn't get anything signed. It's just a jersey that I just got. And I don't know. I would like to see Drake May sooner than later, like maybe after game 5 or 6. I don't know if that'll happen, but their defense is so good. They could win. They could beat Seattle this weekend. They could be 2-0. Then they're probably going to lose 3 in a row because they got like the Jets. They got the Niners. Who's the other team they got? They've got like 3 in a row. Houston. So they're probably going to be 2. But if at that point the defense is playing good and they can put Drake in there, I don't know. Look, we're not gonna make any noise. But the Vikings are going to be better. By the way, you lost Cousins, and then who's the quarterback? Who's your quarterback?
Sam Darnold.
I thought you got Darnold. Yeah, from the Jets. That's right. I knew that. So he is starting.
Yes.
Okay, good. How's that going? Because you're 1-0.
He looked better than expected.
Okay.
I think a lot of people had that same hope that we'd have McCarthy playing in about 5 or 6 weeks, and obviously it's going to be another season. But that's what I hope. I wanted to tell you that I'm one of the. I found out I'm part of a huge percentage of people that participated in an elimination game last week, where you choose just one game in all of the NFL.
Yeah.
You just pick one winner.
And you took the Bengals.
I took the Bengals
over
the Patriots, over your Patriots, and they.
Well,
blew it.
Don't feel bad. Sports radio in Boston, there's a station there where like 3 of the people on the thing They're all out of the pool already. And
ESPN announced
they're from,
It was like 30% of the people playing on their app had that game.
Well, it was one of the biggest spreads, right? So it looked like a sure bet. So I'm excited. Put it this way: going in 1-0 into this weekend, I'm pretty psyched, and I got an early flight out Sunday, so I can catch the game. So
Perfect.
I'll be back for the game.
Perfect, and then we'll see how many they actually win, and we'll talk about it next year.
Let's do it.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.